So today we will try to run through the entire canto and canto 2, the issue, quickly run through the whole thing as a kind of a review, and then I think from next class onward we will start real Savitri, the book of the traveler of the world. You see, book of the traveler of the world. Real Savitri. Well, this is a prologue. This is a prologue, you see. This is a story written elsewhere, the unfinished story of the soul of Savitri.
This is more important.
Of course, obviously, real in the sense that the narrative begins with that. You see, this is a, if you like, you can call this thing as a kind of a flashback. These two cantos, kind of a flashback, reflecting on the entire thing and then developing this thing. In fact, there are in all 49 cantos in Savitri. Out of these 49, these two cantos are of a different kind than the remaining 47 cantos. There you have the narrative going on, and the narrative has been developed in a very certain manner, you see. Now, out of those 49 cantos, there are 24 cantos in part 1. Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, there are 24 cantos, and of those 24 cantos, these are the two cantos which form the prolegomena of Savitri. So the remaining 22 cantos actually form part 1 of Savitri. In that sense, you see, if you want to put that, part 1 of Savitri. Now, this 2 plus 22 cantos, that is 24 cantos of part 1, were mostly written by Savitri in his own handwriting. Till 1944, he was writing, rewriting, drafting, redrafting, revising constantly these 24 cantos in his own handwriting. From 45 onward, then the composition of Savitri proceeded in a different manner. Partly he used to scribble some passages here and there, then dictation, then revisions, things like that. So there is a difference also in the way the Savitri composition are proceeded as far as part 1 is concerned and part 2 and part 3 are concerned, you see. There is a difference between that thing. Now there is something very interesting also. See, you have Canto 1 and Canto 2, the symbol dawn and the issue as the two cantos. Then there is a long description of how the yoga of Ashwapati proceeded, how he invoked the Divine Mother, how he compelled her to take the mortal birth, and then she grows up, she finds Satyavan as her husband, they get married, and then the day of death arrives. The day of death arrives. So, Canto 1, symbol dawn, Canto 2, the issue, and the remaining cantos till the Book of Death. The Book of Death has a title, Canto 3. In Book of Death, there is no Canto 1 and Canto 2. There are no Canto 1. It is Canto 1 and 2 are not there at all. Only it describes Canto 3, Book of Death, Book 8. Therefore, you can say that the first two cantos of the story of Savitri are the symbol dawn, Canto 1, the issues, Canto 2, the Book of Death, Death in the Forest, Canto 3, and starts onward. You are getting the link? See, Book 3.
You said that Book 8, there
Book
is
8.
there is no Canto 1 and
You open Book 8, so it is called Canto 3.
So, what does it mean?
This is what I am trying to explain to you. Canto 1 and Canto 2 are the two cantos preceding Canto 3, Death in the Forest.
So Canto 1 actually makes sense. Book 1.
Yeah, Book 1. Book 1, Canto 1, Canto 2. In other words, all these pages in between, All these pages in between, Canto 2 of Book 1 and Canto 3 of Book 8, all these pages in between are supplementary pages, padding. You are able to get now. So otherwise, how to justify Canto 3? See, the point is, uh, Canto 1 and Canto 1 and Canto 2 specify the problem, the issue, and what is going to happen. And immediately the narrative starts with the book of death. So this was that everyone, Satyavan must die. And then begins the book of death. From that point on, begins the book of death. And then start the dialogue with death and Savitri winning back the soul of Satyavan. So in between all that you have got is the supplementary material to build up the entire story.
It's like flashback.
Yeah. So basically, this is something which is of a secondary kind, of a secondary in a way of speaking. I mean. So that is how you can justify why this Canto 3 has remained Canto 3. See. Well, I mean that is one good way of logicizing the thing. But basically, what actually happened is this Canto 3 of Book of Death, Book 8. Book 8 belongs to a very early period of Savitri's draft, 1916 draft, the Arya period draft. And when the major dictation, composition of Savitri was over, when Shevendra had taken up the Book of Fate again at the end to revise and add number of passages you see. So after that completion, around 15th November 1950, just 3 weeks before Shevendra's withdrawal, he completed the dictation pertaining to Book 6. When that was over, then he asked Nirodbaran, is there anything remaining? Is there anything remaining? So at that time, Nirodbaran said, Book of Death and the Epilogue. Book of Death and the Epilogue. Shevendra said, oh, about them, we shall see later on. And that later on was not to come. You see, later on. Now, that Book of Death, which was there in the Arya period, 1916-1918, had at that time Canto 3 of that particular time. In that sequence, it was named Canto 3. And that Canto 3 was retained till the end, even now in the print, you see, that thing. That was not altered, you see. So that is the kind of a little background, and in order to satisfy ourselves, we can say that it has to be Canto 3 because the first two cantos are the symbol dawn and the issue, and the rest is only kind of an additional material, you see. So that is how perhaps one might kind of logicize the whole thing, you see, to please ourselves, you see. So what we'll do now is we'll quickly run through the second canto, the issue, and then from next class onward, Tuesday, that is 2nd January, New Year also, we'll start with the Yoga of Ashwapati and then proceed, go through the 22 cantos of Savitri, remaining 22. So we had done 27 cantos and 2 we had just finished. So we have got now to do 22 cantos after this, you see it. But that itself is almost half of Savitri. In terms of the number of lines, that is almost half of Savitri, as you have seen just now, half of Savitri. So I don't know how long it will take to complete that thing, but we will continue that. See. Yeah. A while withdrawn in secret fields of thought, her mind moved in a merry maze of past. So in this canto, the issue, there are 2 sections, section 3 and section 4. There are 2 sections, and there are 42 sentences in the first section of the issue, and 48 sentences in the second half of it. and the total number of sentences 90, 90 consisting of 42 plus 48 sentences, and total number of lines 367. The issue has a total number of lines 367 as against 341 lines of book Canto 1 of the Symbol Dawn. And this 361 lines, 185 lines in the first section and 182 lines in the second section. Almost equally balanced both the sections, you see. The average number of syllables per line 10.71, average characters per word 4.75, average lines per sentence 4.08 total, average words per line, each line how many words are there? 7.52. So 7.52 words per line, it means it will take roughly 6 seconds to utter a line. To read a line, it will take roughly 6 seconds. So you can calculate now from 6 seconds how long you will need to read 24,000 lines of Savitri. It comes to roughly 21 hours. Average words per sentence 30.64. Each sentence roughly 4 lines per sentence. So average per sentence 30 sentences. Now there are the bilabial, laboditiacy, palatial, how many words are there? All the statistics are there on our website, on savitri.in. So all that data is there. The whole the data is there. Okay, so that is the general background of the canto, and then the previous canto, there is a direct connection between the first few sentences of this canto, the issue, with the Symbol Dawn. See, it is a kind of a continuation. The first few lines of the issue kind of carry forward the theme which had come to the end in the first canto, you see. Savitri is carrying the whole world within herself. The entire cosmic load is also hers. The cosmic dread, the love of the universal mother too is Savitri's. The issue is now being focused, you see. That enables Savitri to make her own calamity because the universal mother is with her. Savitri has taken the mortal birth, but the universal mother is still with her, always with her. Therefore, she can make her own calamity a weapon for conquering the difficulties in this mortal creation. That enables Savitri to make her own calamity, the personal calamity, a poignant weapon to fight the universal battle. A winning sword to defeat all that comes in the possibilities of the spirit expressing itself here. She was aware of all this. Savitri has got the universal mother with her, but she was not aware for a long time, for eons, for kalpas, for yugas. She was not aware of it. She was unaware of all this as she lay wrapped in somnolence for long years. Savitri was there since the beginning of the earth, but she was not active, so to say. However, remembers moved like a shadow. When Savitri wakes up, then like a shadow, all that was history, that is coming to her view. She put her hand upon her bosom and recognized the lingering ache. She knows not whence arose that ache, but suddenly there is this sensation. She puts her hand on her palm and finds that there is a pain, there is an ache, and she is wondering where from that ache has come. She starts attending to that ache now, you see, Savitri. Recognize, she knows not whence arose that ache, but suddenly there is a sensation. She stirs. Her life shares the cosmic load. The truth is, it is the body's voiceless call that summons Savitri, makes her aware of the work she must do. It is the body's voiceless call. That is the most important thing. Body's voiceless call. See, it is not the mental anguish. It is not the emotional anguish. It is the very physical body which is demanding an answer from Savitri. Savitri is told, So the body is telling to Savitri, Savitri, look, I'm here, I'm suffering right from the beginning, and you have to do something here. And it is that which makes Savitri recognize the mission for which she has taken the mortal birth. Savitri starts traveling back in time, back to the origin of things, back to the moment when began time, since the beginning of the creation. She is moving into the deepest past. In that past, she must find the evil that afflicts the roots of life. Why she is going back in time? Why there is life afflicted by evil? She has to find what is the cause, where is the origin of that evil in life. She has to find it. Life inescapably accompanied by death, the past that gave rise to it, all that has stayed concealed in the darkness of the past. You see, it was kind of buried in the past. It remained there. Nobody had attended until then that thing, you see, of the past is slowly getting illumined. Memories, windows have opened out. The casements, memories casements have opened out, windows have opened out, and she sees the entire past now. The grim prehistoric happenings are pressing to her view. She sees the three ancient disputants battling. What does she see at the past? She sees three disputants: earth, love, and doom. All the three born of inconscience. She sees the wrestling against each other since the beginning. Savitri sees at the base of the thing, earth, love, and doom. They born of the dim inconscience. She sees them and also comes to know the pang divine. The divine himself is in pain there, suffering there. In the past, you see, pang divine, the god of pain, he waiting there for the daily oblation from her. She is making an offering to her, to him, but she is not satisfied. He is not satisfied here. Savitri sees in the flaming heart the figure of high, godlike pain. This godlike stone still pain is staring with regardless eyes into the. See, he is a statue, stone statue, and the statue is looking because it is a stone statue, it cannot recognize. It is only seeing that thing, it cannot give the offer. Yet he sees the timeless depths of grief. The statue is seeing the timeless depths of grief without seeing the goal of life. This high and godlike pain is bound to his throne. He must do his own work. He is committed to do a certain kind of a job there, and he is performing that job dutifully with all his commitment to it, carrying out his painful assignment, carrying in the harshness of a committed divinity. He demands an answer for man's fierce question. It is this God of pain who is demanding an answer for the question of life man is facing along with death, you see. He is demanding life that is accompanied by death. That is the fierce question of man. Why am I accompanied by death? Why death is necessary for me? That is the fierce question. And the God of pain is looking for an answer for that from man. Savitri has to find the answer. Man cannot find himself that answer. It is Savitri who is to find that answer. And by finding the answer, please the God of pain. The sacrifice of suffering and desire earth offers to immortal ecstasy. Constantly you are offering suffering and desire to immortal ecstasy. Has to begin again. Savitri has to start the whole thing once more. Savitri has to engage herself in it. She must do it directly under the eternal hand. Savitri has to offer herself completely. She has to make the offering of suffering and desire to this God of pain, but under the eternal hand. Under the eternal hand itself. She has sacrificed her heavenly royalty and taken the mortal birth. In it, she must do the sacrifice. She is doing it under the eternal hand. So actually now Savitri Yoga is done under the eternal hand himself. Savitri is waking up, she is committed to it, she is making oblations to the God of pain all the while, but the sacrifice she is making now, she is making under the eternal hand himself always constant there. Her life has become an altar. It is on that altar the flame is kindled. Her life, the altar, and herself, the yajna, the sacrifice. This is all on the day when Satyavan must die. The sacrifice has to constantly go on till this day of Satyavan. But in the meanwhile, well, this is the entire sequence of the first canto. This was the day when Satyavan must die, you see. But in the meanwhile, Savitri withdraws in the secret fields of thought. That is how the new canto begins, you see. Fields of thought. She is witnessing the many image past. She is withdrawing now and she is seeing the entire past, like a panorama, the entire development, the entire evolutionary history of the earth she is witnessing there. She is also seeing the end of the past approaching fast. Yet the past is not going to go away. Just like that, past cannot just vanish like that. It has to be removed. It has to be conquered. It has to be eliminated. It remains there as a faithful ghost of itself. So, although we might have killed the past, but the ghost of the past still remains there. And that has to be removed. The phantom is carrying the future. Her witness spirit stood reviewing time. Her Savitri's witness spirit is reviewing time. A while withdrawn in secret fields of thought, her mind moved to a many imaged path, the entire panorama of evolution, all the 10 avatars, so to say, rather all the 5-6 avatars till the awakening of Savitri. She is viewing them, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, all those avatars, she is seeing one by one. A while withdrawn the secret fields of thought, her mind moved in a many imaged path that lived again and saw its end approach. Dying, it lived imperishably in her, transient and vanishing from transient eyes, invisible, a faithful ghost of self. It bore the future on its phantom brain. That past itself is bearing the future on its past. So, see, the past is there, it is a dead past, it is a ghost, but that ghost is bearing the future. And it is that dilemma which Savitri has to solve, you see. Savitri is viewing that kind of a thing. Along the fleeting events, far backward trail, regressed the stream of insistent hour, and to the bank of the mysterious flood, people with well-loved forms now seen no more. Savitri is seeing the ancient past. Savitri is seeing the people. Actually, in the Rig Veda, there are very beautiful references, and the Rishi speaks of our ancestors who had done tapasya, who had done yajna, who had done sacrifice. It is they who brought gods into this creation. They invited the God, they welcomed the God, they kindled the fire, the gods in this creation. Our ancestors. Now, the Vedic Rishi himself is speaking of our ancestors. So you can imagine the ancestry of the human race. Veda itself, one can say, if at all, is about 10,000 years old. Maybe it is much longer, more than that. Now, before those 10,000 years, the Vedic Rishi speaks of our ancestors, Pitaro, our forefathers, Peter. Now, people well-loved from now seen no more. They are gone out of the evolutionary scene, you see. And the subtle images of things that were, her witness spirit stood reviewing time. So the entire evolutionary past is what Savitri is seeing here. All that she once had hoped and deemed and been flew past her, eagle-winged, through memory skies. She is witnessing the past, you see. Savitri is reviewing not just the recent past, a few years old past. See, Savitri is a girl hardly 18, 20 years old. It is not those 15 years of her life she is reviewing. She is reviewing the ancient past. Savitri is reviewing not just the recent past of her life here, a few years old. She is reviewing the entire sequence, starting from her waking, from the original somnolence, reaching the point of death of such a one. So she is seeing the entire sequence of that past. You see, the vision of God's repeated birth shows to Savitri the birth of God in the mortal world. She sees now God's repeated birth. He is coming here as an avatar again and again. That is the repeated birth of the avatar, of the God. Savitri sees that in that, what does she see that? The birth of God in the mortal world. Why the avatar is coming again and again? So that he be born in the mortal world. Avatar. Occurring at the end of this year, as in a many-hued, flaming inner dawn, her life's broad highway and its sweet bypass lay mapped to her, sun clear, recording view. So the whole thing is clear to her immediately. From bright country of her childhood's days, and the blue mountains of her soaring youth, and the paradise grows and peacock wings of love, to joy clutched under the silent shadow of, to joy clutched under the shadow of doom, under the silent shadow of doom, silent shadow of doom. The death is taking place under the shadow, under the tree. She is seeing that the joy clutched under the silent shadow of doom. In a last turn, where heaven raised with hell. Last turn. Yes, that is the end of the story now. Actually, that is the first part of the Savitri story. The second part of the Savitri story is to be written. And that is what she is going to write, you see. In a last turn, yes, there will be no more pralaya. The creation will grow and grow and grow from this point on. Last turn. 12 passionate months led in a day of fate. This was the day when Satyavan must die. 12 passionate months led in a day of fate. Now, this is what I was telling you. This line is the 365th line in Savitri, you see. 341 lines of the previous canto plus 25 lines of this canto. So, this line is actually the 365th line of canto. 12 passionate men laid in a day of it. She is drawing near to God and must experience absolute supernatural darkness, because Savitri is coming close to this to this point of time now, late in a day of it. She must experience absolute supernatural darkness, absolute supernatural darkness. The very doom standing there in front of her, she must experience that thing, meet that doom and conquer that doom. And absolute supernatural falls on man sometimes when it draws near to God. That is the example I had given to you last time, how Shivandu had experienced that kind of a thing in the Alipur jail, you see. And the ungarbed entity within, at that moment, the divinity has to come out and assert itself here. That hour had fallen now on Savitri. Satyavan's death is bringing that hour close to Savitri now. A point she had reached where life must be in vain, or in her unborn elements awake, in her unborn elements awake, things which are not emerged yet from there. Her will must cancel her body's destiny. Either she must give up the attempt, or she must cancel her body's destiny by bringing out those unborn elements. So there is actually no or here. She has to do this part alone, you see. She has to attend to that. Can only inborn. But this supernatural darkness is also the moment of truth. Savitri is going to meet the death of her husband tomorrow. That is supernatural event, but that is also a moment of truth. If only one is alert to it and prepared to deal with it, there cannot be any question of one faltering during the moment. You see, when that moment arrives, you cannot falter. You should not falter at all, you see. Savitri has to be yogically prepared fully to meet the challenge, the strength, the power of the supernatural moment. And The assurance is, have no fear. Yes, that supernatural moment is coming here, but there is an assurance. I am there, don't have fear. Have no fear. That is what Shivandu was told in the Alipur jail. When he found that there was no clue available, he had lost all hopes, he had given up everything. There was a kind of a supernatural darkness. At that time, he was told, have no fear. I am there. I will take care of everything. Have no fear, you see. Somebody takes possession of you when you are ready to remain in his possession. When you are ready, when you are able to to put yourself entirely in his hand, then he comes forward and takes you. Not until then. Self-based is small self, fixity of the cosmic sequence, then the whole thing changes at that point. And a new chain reaction set into motion. That is how the whole thing begins now, a different way. Only the self, etc., an episode, etc. The fixity of the cosmic sequences fastened with hidden inevitable link. She must disrupt. Savitri must disrupt the sequence of all these events. The cause and effect which is there, Savitri must disrupt that thing completely, you see. The fixity of the cosmic sequences fastened with hidden inevitable link. She must disrupt, dislodge by her soul's fold, her past a block on the immortal road. Her past, the inconscient past which is there, it is coming on the path, and Savitri has to remove that thing completely, you see. Make a raised ground and shape anew. She has to clear the ground, raise the ground, clear the ground completely, and build up the whole thing once more. The moment of supernatural darkness has come for the chosen one. It comes for not you and me, for the chosen one it comes, for Savitri. And in that high assembly hall of the gods, see, that moment has come. Now the gods have assembled in the sky, in the Satchidananda world. They are there, crowded there. The moment of supernatural darkness has come for the chosen one, for Savitri. And in that high assembly hall of the gods, meet the original gods. Who are the original gods? Varuna, Bhaga, Mitra, Aryamara, Surya, Savitri, all those original solar gods, they have assembled together in the transcendent. Because now this moment of history has come, the supernatural darkness is there, and the gods are now in debate there. Varuna, Bhaga, Mitra, Aryamana, and Surya Savitri, and the solar deity. Varuna, the god of wideness, of wisdom. Bhaga, the god of enjoyment, of bliss, Ananda. Mitra, the god of harmony and relationship. Aryamana, the god of strength, might. Surya Savitri, the creator God. They have all assembled there now. They are debating at that moment. They are debating what? Yes, the supernatural moment has come in the life of Savitri, and they must put their best to help Savitri out at this point. So that is the debate which is going on there. Original debate is there, see, God. And the solar deity. It is a moment when she will be facing the embodied nothingness. Savitri will be facing the embodied nothingness. In other words, Savitri will be facing void, who has taken the form, the shape, the figure, the person of death. The original void which has assumed the form of death. It is she, embodied nothingness, the void who has taken the form of death. Savitri will be facing the void that is.
Is it mind of night?
Huh?
Is it mind of night?
No, it is more than that. It is deeper than that. The void himself has taken the form. See, Savitri, because she has come in a person. So, how does the void present itself to her? He assumes a form. he becomes a person. Void by itself cannot. It has to be a kind of a person-to-person meeting. Savitri has come as a person, as a being, so the void also takes up a form and presents himself to Savitri. You see, the void is therefore he says embodied nothingness. That is the beautiful phrase, you see. In fact, that is what Yama says in the book of in the debate. Because you have come here in person, I have taken a form and I am presenting myself to you. You see, embodied nothingness. A very powerful occult phrase. You see. The void that has assumed the awful form of doom, assumed the form because she is there as a person. The Supreme Goddess as the incarnate in flesh and blood, she is standing there in front of him. Her being must confront the doom's formless cause. Savitri must, why this doom? What is cause? A colloquy of the original God. So all these gods are now meeting up in the transcendent and they are debating about this issue, you see, beating upon the borders of their nose. Her souls debate with embodied nothingness. On the bare peak where self is alone with naught, and life has no sense and love no place to stand, she must plead her case upon extinction's verge. She must be there or she must disappear. She must plead her case and vindicate her right to be and love. A great dolorous moment now is here of Doom and Savitri facing each other. Here at the destined place. Where are they now? This is the meeting place, the designed place. The destined place is there where Satyavan and Savitri had met first. It is at that very place that Savitri must meet Doom. The great and dolorous moment now is here. Here at the destined place. The great and dolorous moment now was close. A mail battalion marching to his doom. The years, the ages are passing and coming like a battalion. Alone amid the many faces loved, aware among unknowing happy harm. Her armored spirit kept watch upon the hour. Savitri is already guarded. She has put on the armor and she is ready to fight now. A combatant in silent, dreadful list. A combatant in silent, dreadful list. Savitri is a combatant in list, in the wrestling ground, in the arena. The world unknowing, for the world she stood. No helper had she save the strength within. There was no witness of terrestrial eye. The gods above and nature's soul below were the spectators of that mighty strife. So you can imagine that whole scene, that forest scene, there is nobody around here, only nature and gods above. They are the witness of that moment, you see. The gods above and nature's soul below, but they were just the spectators of that mighty strife. Yes, they are there. They cannot participate, they cannot contribute really much. The battle is entirely between Doom and Savitri. Nobody can really contribute his share, so to say, to that thing, you see. Nobody is going to help her. It was a battle of love versus death, Doom. Love, death only. A battle to be fought on the earthly soil. But for even the gods above and nature's soul below could participate in it. In the least, the human, the mortal. In what way can human being participate on that? The setting is glorious, a destined spot. See, this is a spot. A designed spot, a selected spot, seeing the issue of love and death arose. When was that prepared? When the issue of love and death arose. That spot was created, was kind of protected also. There is this statue of Shiva on the mountain, and that mountain statue of Shiva is guarding the whole place for this to happen here. The supernatural elements necessary are present in it. There was her drama, radiant prologue lived. a spot for the eternal state on earth set in the cloistral yearning with the wood. So this is a desired spot where the battle has to take place, you see. Gods above and nature's soul below. Around her, the austere sky pointing. Now we have got the beautiful description of that spot, you see. Around her, the austere sky pointing him, and a green, murmurous, broad, deep-thoughted pool muttered incessantly their muffled spell. There has she grown to the stature of a spirit. There has she grown to the stature of a spirit, a genius of titanic silences, keeping a soul in its wide loneliness, has shown to her herself bare reality, and mated her with her environment. She has now become strong enough to meet the environment, to meet the challenge, to meet the situation. See. There she had grown to the stature of a spirit. This is a very powerful line. She had grown to the stature of a spirit. What real Savitri is, it is to that stature Savitri has grown. Where? In this spot, in the destined place, where the battle is going to be fought. It is there Savitri has grown here. Now, if you see in the kind of a immediate context, there she had grown to the stature of a spirit. Savitri has lived hardly here for 1 year. Satyavan and Savitri have met one summer morning, they get married, and 1 year after the marriage, Satyavan is going to die. So Savitri is living Satyavan in this place just for 1 year. Now, is it during that 1 year that she had grown to a spirit? There, had she grown to the stature of a spirit, had she grown to her greatness during that just 1 year? The answer is yes. The answer is also no. The answer is no, because she has been here in this place since the beginning of the earth, the destined meeting place, the designed place is always there, and she has been growing constantly in a yogic tapasya, in a yogic consciousness, in yogic strength. She has been growing constantly in that. So it is not just that 1 year, but at the same time it is a 1 year, because when Narad makes known the death of Satyavan, it is after that moment Savitri does the yoga of the conquest of death. Savitri does within those few months, and she grows to the stature of a spirit. The power of Narad's Diksha, of initiation, is that she immediately sets herself on doing the yoga and grows to the stature of a spirit. So it is both historically as well as evolutionarily that she has grown there to the stature of a spirit, you see. This is a double meaning, this line, you see. Savitri had grown there to the stature of a spirit. Not that she lived here with Satyavan just for 1 year after the marriage. Though it is here she did the yoga of victory over death. She has been doing this yoga since she awoke to the mission of her birth. She has been doing that, you see. There was a drama's radiant prologue lived. That is this scene where all this is going to happen here. The destined meeting place. It's a very beautiful place where how Satyavan and Savitri made, and that place becomes also the place where the drama is being enacted, you see. Here is a spot for the eternal state. See, that is the beauty of this place, this meeting place. This is the spot, here the spot for the eternal state on earth. He is going to step down here, in this spot here, you see. Here will arrive Krishna Kali in the wake of Savitri is coming back to earth. It is in this spot, at this place, when Savitri brings back the soul of Satyavan, Krishna and Kali will follow. It is at this place, you see. There was a drama, brilliant prologue. Here the spot for the eternal state on earth. Here will arrive Krishna Kali in the wake of Savitri is coming back to earth, back to the soul of Satyavan. A spot for the eternal trade on earth. You see, that is the spot for the eternal trade. Krishna Kali is coming here and stepping on this one, set in the colossal yearning. Here, with the suddenness, divine advents have, repeating the marvel of the first descent, repeating the marvel of the first descent, the way the avatar plunged for the first time in this creation and the miracle started. It is that marvel which is repeated here again and again. Here, with the suddenness, the divine advents have, changing into rapture the dull earthly round. Love came to her, hiding this shadow. That it is at this spot Satyavan is walking through. They are meeting over here, but he does not know that he is also accompanied by unseen death. The shadow of death is there behind her. Savitri and Satyavan meet, but none of them know. Neither Savitri knows nor Satyavan knows that death is also following them simultaneously at that spot. It is only when Narad reveals that, then the entire thing becomes clear to Savitri, not yet to Satyavan. Here is repeated the marvel of the first descent of the God of love, plunging into the void. The God of love has plunged into the void. That is the first descent. That is the marvel. It is that marvel which is repeated here at this point. Well, mighty find in her his perfect shrine. He, God of love. God of love is going to find perfect shrine only in Savitri. What kind of shrine? We have got this most beautiful description of Savitri. This perfect shrine, most beautiful description of Savitri. See, in the harshness of the event, the calamity, the harshness, the god of pain, the ache, the voiceless call of the body, all that thing. Against that, you have such sweet poetry, such sublime poetry, such elevating poetry also at the same time, you see. I mean, the contrast is so marvelous. It is as if such sublime poetry, the pure over mental poetry, can come as if only when there is that calamity, there is that harshness, you see. Since first the earth beings heavenward, growth began. Since first earth beings heavenward, growth began. When earth beings heavenward, growth began. When man lifted up the burden of his fate. It is at the time of Rama Avatar. That is the beginning, Rama Avatar, you see. Since first the earth beings heaven. That is the beginning of Rama Avatar, you see. Man lifted the burden of his fate, is climbing up. And Savitri awakes at that moment of time, no? It is that thing. Beings heavenward, growth began. In fact, that is exactly what we have got when the Vedic Rishis says, see, the Vedic Rishis belong more or less to the period of Rama. And they themselves are speaking our ancient forefathers. Our ancient forefathers who did the tapasya, who did the sacrifice, who did the yajna, they are speaking of that thing. So it is since earth heavenward began. It is from that point onward this urge for immortality is there in man. All the long ordeal of the race, never a rarer creature bore his shaft. That is the greatness of Savitri. She alone can bear the shaft of love. All in her pointed to a nobler kind, obviously, not the littleness of the earth. It is here the God of love found his perfect shrine to reside. Savitri, the perfect shrine for the God of love. Such is the beauty of this earth. Such is the glory of this earth. Such is the joy of this earth. There is the harshest doom waiting there to remove that beauty, that glory, that joy from the face of the earth. But here is she now, yet here is she stronger than the doom himself. She is wielding a conqueror's sword. She is wielding the conqueror's sword in her hand. And here she stands in all her mind. Savitri is standing there in all her mind. And what kind of shrine is this for the God of love to live? She is a golden temple door to things beyond. In her sway, immortal rhythm, a mind, a sea of wide sincerity. That is her mind, a sea of wide sincerity. Her heart, silence in the hands of joy. Her body, a parable of dawn. That is the perfect shrine. A wide self-giving was a native ant. As a tired bird chased by a hunter might find quiet in her, so would that love under the grip of death. The way a tired bird is going to find a quiet in its homing tree, in its nest, in the same manner, this God of love, who is under the grip of death, is going to find refuge, going to find quiet in Savitri alone, near to earth's wideness, intimate with heaven, exalted and swift, her young large vision spirit, watching the world with splendor and of calm, overflow the ways of thought unbound thing. And goes on like that, you see. What poetry you see. A wise self-giving was a native and a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enumerate with his greatness all that came and gave a sense as of a great one. Her kindly care was a sweet temperate sun, her high passion a blue heaven equipoise, a deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary, her inward hell, and barred a gate in heaven. Yes, you can pass through heaven's gate because of her. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. So, what a big heart it must be. And it is that big heart who is going to be the shrine for the God of love. So the God of love rather looks small in that huge big shrine of Savitri. The great unsatisfied Godhead, because God of love has not yet found the shrine, but now here is she now, could dwell vacant to the vastness imprisoned air, her mood could harbor his sublime breath. Spiritual that can make all things divine. Spiritual that can make all things divine. See, everything spiritual does not necessarily mean divine. Everything spiritual does not necessarily mean divine. You can have the cosmic experience. Yeah, you can have the experience of oneness. You can have the experience of Advaita. You can have the experience of Ananda. But that still does not make it divine. It is a cosmic experience. For even her girl was secrecies of light. At once, she was a stillness and a word, both passive and active Brahman aspects are present in her. A continent, a self-diffusing peace, an ocean of untraveling virgin fire. The strength, the silence, the gods were her. In her, God of love, he found a vastness like his own, his high, warm, subtle ether, he refound and moved in her as his natural home. In her, he met his own eternity. So that is the first part of the canto, section 3. Till then, no mournful line had barred this ray. Savitri's work is here, and it goes on the frail breast of this precarious earth. Since her armed side in its bedfastened house, opened in sympathy with happier stars, where life is not exposed to sorrowful change, remembered beauty that claimed its ignored, and wondered at its world of fragile form, carried on, canvas strips of shimmering time. The impunity of unborn mice was her, Savitri. Although she leaned to bear the human load, her walk kept still the measure of the gods. Yes, she has taken immortal birth, but she is walking in the trade of the gods, in the paces of the gods, in the walk of the gods. Her breath had failed to stain that brilliant glass. Savitri is not going to be stained by the frailties, by the ugliness of this earth. Almost they saw who lived in her light, her playmate in the sempiternal sphere. The gods were there, her playmate. What do they see here? Descended from his retirement. In her, attracting advanced luminance, the white fire, dragon bird of endless bliss. That is what they say from her. The white fire, dragon bird of endless bliss, the bird of Ananda. That is the dragon bird of Ananda, drifting with burning wings above her day, the bird of Ananda. Although she is going to meet a very harsh moment, she is going to face doom, it is the bird of Ananda who is hovering over. Heaven, tranquil shield, guarded the mission child. So you see, although Savitri has taken immortal birth, she has always that protection. She is always supervised by the superhuman power. She is guarded by the white fire dragon bird of endless bliss. Is always there with her. See. But joy cannot endure until the end, because Savitri has taken the mortal birth. She has to pass through the mortal events, mortal course. There is a darkness in terrestrial things that will not suffer long to glad a note. Savitri must meet that. It is for that purpose she has come here. On her too closed the inescapable hand. The hand of destiny has to fall on Savitri. The armed immortal bore the snare of time. The armed immortal, she has come here as the immortal, and she has to bear the snare of time. Assigner of the ordeal, and the assigner of the ordeal we have seen last time, he is the master of evolution who has assigned to her this particular thing, has chosen for her this calamitous moment. She has to accept that thing, because it is through that alone that things can be done. The purpose for which Savitri has taken the birth can be accomplished only when the assigner of the ordeal and pain gives her her share of calamity and doom. See. August and pitiless, in his calm outlook, his that assigner, the master of evolution, heightening the eternal deathful strategy, he measured the difficulty with the might and dug more deep the gulf that all must cross. Savitri has to cross that gulf. She cannot. The cross is there and she has to carry it and go to the other side. Assailing her divinest element, he made her heart kin to the striving human heart and forced the strength to its appointed road. Yes, Savitri must take this road. Savitri must follow this thing. Savitri must meet doom. Savitri must face doom. Savitri must conquer doom. That is the appointed road on which he has to go. And he has seen that. He sees that this is God done. For this, she had accepted mortal birth. To wrestle with the shadows she had come. To wrestle with the shadows she had come. To wrestle with the shadows she had come. See, that is how you scan it. To wrestle with the shadow of doom she had come. See, that is how you break the lines also. That is how you break the lines also. To wrestle with the shadows she had come, and must confront the riddle of man's birth and life's brief struggle in dumb matter's night. And life's brief struggle in dumb matter's night. Savitri must confront that moment, you see. She must meet that thing. For this, she had accepted mortal birth. She has come here for that purpose. Mortal birth she has taken for that purpose, you see, and must confront the riddle of man's birth. Riddle of man's birth, Savitri must meet. What is the riddle? Actually, it is more than the riddle of birth, than the riddle of death. How birth is always accompanied by death. It is more the riddle of man's death than man's birth, and it is that Savitri must confront and she must meet. And life's brief struggle in dumb matters nigh, whether to bear with ignorance and death, or hew the ways of immortality, to win or lose the godlike game for man, was her soul's issue thrown with destiny's die, with destiny's die. The soul's issue, whether to win with ignorance and death, to bear with ignorance and pain, or hew the ways of immortality, or hew. We are seeing that thing last time also. To bear with ignorance, Savitri could have just accepted the condition, the status quo, the things as they are. She could have just remained what she was. Okay, the world goes on like that, it will go on there. Why should I bother? She could have just continued her own work in that manner. Either to remain like that or do something more decisive than that, to cut the ways of immortality, to cut the ways of immortality in this mortal world. Whether I should do that or accept the status quo, that is the issue. But actually that is not really the issue for Savitri. Savitri is not going to accept this alternative at all, to bear ignorance and death. Savitri is going to cut the ways of immortality in the mortal world. That is her work. And she is going to do that thing, to win or lose the godlike game. Whether she is going to win or not, that is a different matter. But as far as she is concerned, her job is to cut the ways of immortality. Was the soul's issue thrown with destiny's die? It is not human Savitri, it is not mortal Savitri, but it is the soul of Savitri who is facing that issue. And she has to, but not to submit and suffer was she born. The moment you say that she was born not to submit and suffer, the moment you say that, it means that this is totally ruled out. This is just out of the question. This is just ruled out, you see. To win with ignorance and but not to submit and suffer was she born. To lead, to deliver was her glorious work. To lead, to deliver, that is to cut the ways of immortality. It is for that purpose I am here. I have taken the mortal birth for this purpose. I am here in this world since the beginning of this creation for this purpose, to cut the ways of immortality. Mrityu Loka, to bring Amrita to the Mrityu Loka. That is my job. That is what I am here for, you see. That is what I am going to do. But not to submit and suffer was she born. To lead, to deliver was her glorious part. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make. Well, she is not made of small little thing like that. She is something made of a very different type altogether. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make, fit for a day's use by busy, careless power. It is not Jina ani vastrani. She is not going to wear ordinary clothes, ordinary robe. She is wearing the garments of the gods, and she has taken the birth here to do God's work. Here was no fabric, an image fluttering with a screen of pain, or a castaway. Well, she is not that, where she is not a thing. In the chess play, such is the human figure drawn by time. This is what man is, a castaway. He is an object which is floating on the ocean when the shipwreck takes place. He is not like that. Man is not like that. Man is something more than that. Man is here to do some work. He is not just something which is discarded, you see. A conscious frame was here, a self-born foal. That is what Savitri is here. She has taken the mortal birth. She is here with a conscious frame. Even her body is fully conscious of her divinity, what she is here for, she is fully aware of it. Self-born force, which is Swayambhu, which has taken the birth by itself, it is that force, the Shakti, who is there here. In this enigma of the dusk of God, this slow and strange, uneasy compromise of limiting nature with limitless soul, where all must move between an ordered charm and uncaring blind necessity to hide the spiritual fire. They are not blazing. We'll skip that thing. Because of this reality, the throne of inconscient is safe, while the tardy calls into the eon's palm, and the animal browses in the sacred fen, and the gold hawk can cross the skies no more. The gold hawk, the soul of man, he the bird, the vulture, the Garuda, who is flying up high in the sky, cross the sky no more. The animal, the noble spirit of man, the vital life force, the Aryan life force, it is that which is now confined to this form. But one stood up, yes, this is what it is, but one stood up, yes, in spite of all this thing, there is one who is meeting the challenge of the situation, stood up and lit the limitless flame. One, of course, immediately it refers to Savitri. But this one is greater than Savitri herself. It is the original Savitri herself who is here, who stood up and lit the limitless flame, kindled the fire, kindled the Agni. The Yajna is get burning here, arraigned with a dark power that hates me. In the dire court where life must pay for joy. Savitri is there now to meet the challenge. In her, in Savitri, the superhuman cast its seed. It is he, the Supreme Himself, who is working in Savitri. Because she has stood up. She is able to meet the challenge of this creation. Because she is prepared to do that thing. She has capacity, power to hold what the superhuman can give. Therefore, the superhuman casts its seed, its elements in this world, inapt to fold its mighty wings of dream. He is not going to fold the dreams like that. Her spirit refused to hug the common soil, or finding our lives golden meanings robbed. Compound, she is not going to compound with her. She is not going to quench with despair the God light. She stood up, Savitri, in spite of all these difficulties, accustomed to the eternal and the true, accustomed to the eternal and the true. That is the divine nature of Savitri herself. The eternal and the true, who is living also in the human Savitri, the eternal and the true. Satya and Brahma, they are residing in Savitri, and they are there. Ask not from the mortal frailty pains relief. Pass not with failure, bargain, or compromise. A work she had to do, yes, she has come for that purpose. She has taken the mortal birth for a certain purpose. A work she had to do. Now, a word to speak, of course, a work she had to do. It is the work she has been doing since the very beginning of this creation. When she arose from her somnolence, from her sleep, it is from that moment onward her occult spiritual work is going on, and that work continues to do. But now a moment has come when she must do it decisively. A work she had to do, a word to speak, writing the unfinished story of her soul. The first half of Savitri's story is done. Now the finished part of the story of the divine manifestation upon this creation, of the divine possibilities expressing themselves in the mortal world, that is the second half of the story. And Savitri has to write the story. She has to complete the story. The book is now opened out and she has set herself to do that job. writing the unfinished story of her soul in thoughts and actions graved in nature's book. A force in her that toils since the earth was made. That is a part of the story of Savitri. Since the earth was made, that is the force which is toiling here all the while, accomplishing in life the great world plan, pursuing after death immortal aim, refused to admit frustration's barren role, forfeit the meaning of her birth, and she is not going to accept the failure at all. She is not going to refuse, she is going to refuse the frustration or yield her high destiny up to passing time. She is not going to yield her destiny to chance with that, you see. She is going to mold her destiny. She is going to will her destiny, and she is going to see that the destiny is carried forward. In her own self, she found her high recall. In her own self, that is the important thing. It is not that from somewhere else she is going to get. Within her itself, there are powers, and those powers have to come out and meet the challenge of the situation. Within herself, she found her ego. She matched with the iron law her sovereign right. Iron law, the law of death, Yama, the law of death she has to stay the wheels of doom. This greatness arose. Savitri is now rising up, getting ready to meet doom. The doom which is approaching fast in the forest, the death of Satyavan, the moment of his death. It is for that Savitri is waiting there now, see, to stay the wheels of doom, stop the wheels of doom. The greatness rose. At the unseen knock upon the hidden gaze, her strength made greater by the lightning's touch. Awoke from slumber in her heart. See, the strength was there in her, but there is the unseen knock. Somebody unseen, he is knocking. Savitri, get up. The moment has come. You have to do your work now. See, awoke from slumber in heart's restraint. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. That of the superhuman, his stroke, his blow, she has to bear. The blow of the superhuman, Savitri has to bear. It is that blow of the superhuman which will kill all that is past, all that is coming in the way of your progress, in the way of your spiritual growth. All that will be killed, will be removed, destroyed by the blow of that. And when that is destroyed, then that blow saves you. So that blow kills all that is coming in the way. The blow saves for you to do your future's work. It bore the strength of Savitri. The strength of Savitri says that it can bore both these aspects. Across the awful march, no eye can see, barring dreadful route, no will can change. She faced the engine to the universe. A heart stood in the way of driving wheel. A giant working spots in front of her mind. A star convention met the flame of a soul. Star convention, the tradition, the laws of nature, Rudy, all that is coming in the way here, they have to be destroyed. The star convention met the flame of a soul. Here is the burning flame now, which will destroy all the traditions, all that comes in the way of the thing. Traditions have no place at all, you see, they must go away. And what is that thing then? A magic leverage. Suddenly it's got a magic leverage. You got the lever now, and you have got that lever in your hand. When that moment comes, that lever is there. What is that magic leverage? It is going to do something miraculous, something most wonderful, that it can link your strength with the transcendent force. The leverage will do such a miracle that your strength itself can be linked up with the strength of the transcendent, can link man's strength to the transcendent force. So that is the power of that magic leverage. Once you have got that leverage in your hand, and if you follow what the leverage is going to do, you accept its working, then your strength can get linked up with the supreme strength. And when the transcendent force is there with you, what is it that you cannot achieve? What is it that will come in the way then? What has been killed has gone away, and this strength is now only going to say you, take you forward, you see. A magic leverage suddenly is caught that move the world ineffable. See, that leverage has the power to move the ineffable's will, the very will of the ineffable, or the inexpressible, anarvachaniya, who cannot be expressed, who cannot be described at all. His will, it is that will which is now caught by this magic leverage. In other words, you are put yourself in direct contact with the will of the Supreme, and when the will of the Supreme is there working with you, then all the things will follow automatically in their course. And what is that leverage? Now he is describing that magic leverage. That magic leverage is a prayer, a master act, a king idea. That is the magic leverage. So once you have got that prayer, master act, king idea in your possession, you have got the leverage in your hand. And with that leverage, then your strength can get linked up with the transcendent force. A prayer, a master act, a king idea. As I have been telling you repeatedly, this line is a very beautiful line, very powerful line. In one single sentence, one single line, a prayer, a master act, a king idea, it brings the entire essence of the Gita's yoga. The Gita's yoga is trapped, is condensed, is quintessenced in this particular line itself. A prayer, see the lines can account to you. A pray, that is A, Ma, second foot, that is Anapist. Master act, third foot, I am. A king, fourth foot. Idea, amphibrach, fifth foot. So these are the 5 feet like that, you see. So in these 5 feet, the entire essence of Gita's yoga is condensed, is presented here. It is not a prayer or a master act or a king idea. It is not jnana or bhakti or karma. It is not that. It is jnana which is also bhakti, which is also karma. Or a bhakti which is also jnana, which is also karma. Or a karma which is also a bhakti or a jnana. All of them are together, they cannot be separated. That I will do now bhakti yoga, now I will do, it is not like that. It is simultaneous. When you are engaged in work, karma, you see the presence of God there, you realize the presence of God there, and your heart opens out, your bhakti opens out. Oh, my Lord is present here, and let me offer my worship to Him. You see, doing work itself, you are doing gardening, or you are doing kitchen work, or you are cooking. In that process itself, what do you see? It is God who is preparing the food for me. See, it is that element which comes out. At the same time, the way in which the food is to be cooked, the way in which the food is to be digested, the way in which the food is to be served, all those things become a part of jnana. I get simultaneously also. It is not that just prepare a certain dish and give to you. You have to also now put your spiritual force, your psychic force, your inner force into it. Then it really becomes the food for God. So it is simultaneously all the three. It is jnana, karma, bhakti as a single element. I will call it as a triple yoga if you want to call it. But unfortunately, people have been emphasizing only on one aspect or the other of Gita's Karma Yoga. But this line tells you very clearly, very most powerfully, that look, that is the wrong thing. Now, it is that kind of a triple yoga of the Gita, Karma, Jnana, Bhakti, fused into each other, born in one flame. These three, born in one flame. It is that which can link your strength with the strength of the transcendent. You see, when all that fulfillment is there, then only you acquire a strength which can link up with the strength of God, you see. Can link man's strength to the transcendent force. What a powerful description. Now Savitri has arrived at that moment. Savitri has arrived. Yes, tomorrow her husband is going to die and she has to meet that moment. Now she has to pull her strength from within so that it can meet that particular moment. Her husband is going to die. She is going to do this triple yoga of the Gita so that her strength is linked up with the transcendent force. And when that force, the transcendent force, it is that force which will take care of everything. Then Savitri has nothing to do. Savitri is kind of free. Her work lies only in linking up her strength with the transcendent force. Once that is done, it is the transcendent force which will take care of everything. So, even if Satyavan is going to die tomorrow, Savitri is not concerned with that. It is the concern of that divine Shakti, of the Supreme Shakti herself, Mahashakti. It is she who is going to do whatever has got to be done, you see. Then, when that strength is linked up, then miracle is made a common rule. Everything becomes a common thing, miracle. How things happen without your understanding, without your knowing, as if things start falling into their places and things start getting developed. Then miracle is made a common rule. One mighty deed can change the course of things. See, we never do the Gita Yoga also, you see. If we can do that thing, one mighty deed, one act in that yoga can change the course of things completely. The whole life changes completely. A lonely thought becomes omnipotent. It has the divine Shakti in it now. All now seem nature's master machinery, an endless servitude to material rule. A long determination's rigid chain, her firm and chainless habits aping law, annul the claim of man's free human will. He too is a machine amid machine, he, man. A piston brain pumps out the shapes of thought. A beating heart cuts out emotions mold. And insentient energy fabricates the soul, That is how our ego self is born. A random series. But wisdom comes and vision grows within. When you do the triple yoga of the Gita, wisdom comes and vision grows within. You start seeing things from within. You start understanding. You are not to be told anything. You don't have to go and read in a book. You don't have to search for answer in this encyclopedia or that encyclopedia. It is there within. That vision grows from within and you get automatically the answers solved. Then nature's instrument crowns himself her king. See, you are the master of nature now. It is not nature who is going to govern you. You become the master, you become the king of nature. He feels his witnessing self and conscious power. He feels his witnessing self and conscious power. He is the power and self. His soul steps back and sees the light supreme. When the vision grows within, then you see the light supreme. Parasya Jyoti, light supreme. Parasya Jyoti. You see the greatest, the brightest, the finest kind of light. A goddess stands behind the brute machine. This truth broken in a triumph of fire. Suddenly, Savitri has realized this truth. Yes, if I can link up my strength to the transcendent force, all these things are going to happen. And Savitri has suddenly realized the importance of this truth. This truth broke in a triumph of fire. A victory was won for God in man. A victory was won for God in man. Savitri has already won the victory in the subtle world, in the Smukshma Jagat. Savitri has already won the victory. It has to get translated now on the physical plane, in the material world. A victory was won for God. She has already won the victory. The deity revealed his hidden face. The great world mother now in her arose. It is the divine mother herself now who is coming out of human Savitri. Savitri is there, the incarnate force is there, but she is no more the human Savitri. It is the divine mother herself now who is projecting herself through Savitri. The great world mother now in her arose. This is exactly what we have got in book 10, you see. Her great world mother now arose. A living choice reverse face cold death. There was an alternative whether she should give up considering everything as vain or hew the ways of immortality. That was the moment of choice. But that moment of choice is decided the moment Savitri has now in her possession the magic leverage. Once Savitri has that possession, in her possession, the magic leverage, the transcendent force is working in Savitri. The divine mother, the world mother is now going to work in Savitri. Savitri's leverage has succeeded in achieving that thing. She has used the magic leverage successfully. And now the Divine Mother is operating in her. The great Mother now in her arose, a living choice rivers. You see, that was a choice, that issue was there, but that issue is now dissolved. She has to only cut the ways of immortality in this mortal creation. Affirm the spirit's trade on circumstance. Press back the senses' dire revolving wheel. This Kala Chakra has been stopped. It has no business now to move on. Kala Chakra has been stopped. Everything is now under the control of Savitri because the world mother is there now with her. Savitri has in possession the magic leverage. She has used it successfully. She has linked up her strength with the transcendent force and the job is done. Press back the senses' dire evolving will. A flaming warrior from the eternal peak, a flaming warrior from the eternal. Savitri is there, a flaming warrior. But at the same time, in that flaming warrior, it is the Divine Mother who is working here. From the eternal peace, she has come here, and it is that Divine Mother who is a flaming warrior from the eternal peace, empowered to force the door denied and closed, smote from death's visage, a dumb absolute. So she removed away the veil which death had put on. God of death, who had assumed the cruel face in his creation, that harsh cruelty of God of death, it is that which has been removed. And what you see there, you don't see here the cruel God. God of death is a cruel person. You see somebody who is beautiful, who is genuine, who is authentic, who is gracious, who is powerful, and it is to him now you are doing whatever we do. In the world, Savitri has revealed the one who truly is behind this God of death. The divine himself had taken that position, had assumed that face, and Savitri has now revealed, look, it is not Yama now, it is Super Yama. It is the divine himself who is in front of you. Smoke from death's visage is down absolute and burst the bounds of consciousness and time. The doors are opened out now. The floods of the eternal and the limitless are going to flow here of eternal, the true consciousness and time, awareness, Jagrata, and burst the bounds of consciousness and time. Well, this is the brief account of the second canto. We have hurried quickly through, but I think we'll leave it as it is now, see.